I'm going to say something about my views about the difference or the possibilities of printing a model yourself or buying a kit from a manufacturer. And so I hope these are helpful for people considering that sort of thing. And maybe it's a follow-on to a post somewhere where somebody was talking about how much should I pay my friend for printing out something for me? Or if you're a friend, how much should I be charging a friend for printing something out? If I answer that very quickly, probably about the same as it would cost to buy the same size from a local kit manufacturer. I'm in the UK, and so I would support UK-based kit manufacturers. UK, that includes Wales, there's some in Wales, they're all over the UK. Small cottage industries and some a little bit larger than that. And I don't think that's unreasonable, because if you're able to print out a bespoke thing, then there's the convenience of getting something that you want, maybe you've found the design, over having to be satisfied with whatever the kit manufacturer thinks is worth producing. And over here, right, you're talking about the low tens of pounds. So £15 for a low-cost kit. You can get skip wagon kits really quite cheaply. And then when you're getting onto slightly larger wagons, you might be paying a little bit more than that. But, you know, you're not paying the hundreds of pounds that you would for a boxed LGB type of thing. So I'm going to turn around and show you some of these things. Here is the basis of a flat wagon, or perhaps an end plank wagon. Once built up, you've got the chassis, you've got the buffer beams, you've got the side parts with the bearings, wheel bearings on. No brake gear on this. And cost to print that is, you know, pence, maybe a couple of shillings. But to buy a kit, you might be paying £15 for a model like that without wheels, because I've got to add wheels here. However, here is a printer. The printer will typically cost you £320, £360. A spool there, £15 to £25. It varies depending on where you get it from and, you know, the market, what's happening. And on top of that, there is the time investment. So, for instance, this particular machine is quite a few people are able to get it working straight out of the box, calibrate it and have it printing fairly quickly. Other machines need a little bit more time setting up. But if something does go a bit haywire, and things have done on this, you might get bed adhesion problems, various problems. Tweaking can be quite an issue. I've recently had to change the belts on this, which is where the corner pieces are. The belt material doesn't cost a lot, but changing the belts, updating the firmware, and re-leveling the bed, and then doing a first layer test before I readjusted the Z to start the print. I had bought the print, but only I just ran the first layer and then looked at it. Took 3/4 of a day. So you can get the printer built in 20 minutes, but I've had to invest 3/4 of a day on maintenance. So there's the £320, let's call it £360 investment. Say you might end up paying £25 for your reel, and you could find yourself investing in spare components. I've changed the nozzle on this. You get half a dozen nozzles for a few pounds. what else? That's about it. I've another one, and I've changed the motherboard on one. A motor burnt out, stepping motor, needed a new motherboard. So they are a constant source of expense. So on that basis, even if you're only using, say, £1 or two worth of filament, you can work out how many models at £15 you need to produce before you've covered the cost of the printer. Right, so that's the first thing. Why did I do it? Well, for me, I was interested in doing the 3D printing anyway. So for the last 5 years or more, I've been talking to a friend, a colleague, a fellow member of a local model railway club who has written a book on 3D printing. And I was hoping to show you his book, but I don't know where I've put it at the moment. It's probably on the shelf over there. I'll link to it later. And eventually took the plunge, maybe a year ago. So I've been on and off playing with them for a year. But the advantage to me, or the aim, let's say, it's not an advantage yet because I'm not that good, was that I wanted British outline rolling stock, which the commercial manufacturers were very slow to produce, and some of the kits were not quite what I wanted. They might have been for a specific narrow gauge line. And I was prepared to invest yet more time in learning a CAD program. Let me say, I did not design this. There's a fabulous guy, and again I need to link to him, who has put onto Thingiverse about a dozen different designs for things. And so all I've had to do is download the design, slice it, print it. So there's been zero overhead in terms of design work on this. And at some point, I think it would be worthwhile for me just to support him in some small way for that work he's put in. But what I would like to do is not just perhaps be able to modify these, but to be able to do the designs of things myself. And I've done one or two simple designs. I say very simple, following tutorials, using FreeCAD, using Fusion 360, which I'm playing more and more with. I'm sticking with that at the moment, but I started out learning the basics in FreeCAD. And also, what's the other learning curve? So the learning curve in the CAD. The other learning curve, unless you're just printing things out, in order to tweak it, is learning how to edit the Marlin code, the configuration.h file. Now, fortunately, down at the Model Railway Club, there's a little group of us, and a couple of the lads there got into 3D printing before me, went along to some free or low-cost sessions at the local college, part of the Leeds City College group, Keighley College, and were able to learn about 3D printing there. And they have passed on their knowledge and their further development work so that I was able to quickly begin to get to understand the firmware that goes on the motherboard, and then the Repetier software. So learning about the G codes, or the little bits of G code that you might add to the beginning and end of a basic file, so that you can tweak the prints in the way you want. So if you're having problems with bed adhesion, you can print more on there. So learning curves for, first of all, maintenance of the printer. There are YouTube videos, there are Facebook pages, specific Facebook page for this one. Lots of help, lots of places where you can ask. But that takes time, and by time, I would say days, or you need to invest the time to learn how things work on your printer. Maintenance, lubrication of the slides, the right sort of lubricant to use on there, tensioning the belts. Each time you tension or change the tension of a belt, it upsets the leveling. So you need to redo the leveling. The right procedure of doing leveling, setting your Z0. And I would say very easy on this. On my other printer, it's a pain in the neck doing that thing. And doing the bed leveling process with various points manually, that's half an hour. Time learning about the printer, setting up the printer. Time learning about editing the Marlin firmware and the configuration H file to tweak it for your printer, for your particular filaments, and a couple of other things there, which I've not done with this machine, but on my other machine, which is a normal XYZ coordinate machine, I've spent a fair bit of time tweaking that. And then the other thing is, the whole point about it being, you learn a CAD package, which is hours, days, investment in time. So at the end of the day, you can produce something once you've designed it or downloaded design for £1 or £2 at the most. You might pay £20, £25 for. But think about how much your time is worth. Because if you have to invest an awful lot of time on top of the best part of £300 to £400 on the kit, then you are getting excellent value for money. Particularly, I'm just now thinking of a specific example where on the garden scales page, there is somebody who has designed and is offering for sale the kit of parts for a particular model, which I think he's prepared to sell for about £15. And I will be buying a couple of those myself. Why? Because they represent really good value for money, given the time that has gone into the design and tweaking of those parts. So there we are. I hope that's helpful. Just kind of gabbled my way through it. However, if like me, you want to play with CAD software, you enjoy the technology and the control, and the ability, if you get your file in CAD, to be able to change it yourself. So I could modify this in the CAD package if I really wanted, or if I've designed it myself from scratch, I'm in complete control. I know what I've done, and I can thicken things up, modify the length, do all sorts of changes, and that means I can do something that I want that's completely custom. And so that is the big plus, and the investment in the machinery is like a further investment. And if I step back from it, that has cost less than an LGB loco. That's the other way of looking at it. There's your time that you put in. If you want to play trains, buy the LGB loco and go and put it on your track and play. Because this will keep you away from your trains, because you'll be playing with that instead. But it, as something that sits there, swing round. Oh, it's certainly a lot less than some of those, but just think about a classic standard LGB loco that many people are buying. I think I exceeded the time my phone will record the video for. Hope that was helpful, and I'll better log off because that's too long really for me to go rattling on. Sorry about the length of time I spent on that, but there we go. It's my little bit of a discussion.